Hello, my kings and queens. I'm back with another video. I'm your host. I would like to quickly talk about 3 points about driving. If you could make a 30 or 40 minute of driving, uh, a 30 or 40 minute video of driving, you can drive. If you could talk about all the signs and yielding to the cars, you could drive. You're that much closer to driving. See, and another thing too is you could talk about driving videos, record yourself about what you know about driving. Then the teacher examiner say, "Okay, it's time to drive," and while you are still recording yourself. So don't be scared, don't be overwhelmed, don't be upset, don't be frustrated. If the teacher examiner yells at you, remember, um, this is confidence. You speak it in the atmosphere. And if you want to, you could talk about, this is what I know about driving. And then the teacher examiner says, okay, since you know so much about driving, how about you drive us to point A and B? And then they record you while they are showing you what to do. This might be the way of the future. This might be future driving where you give a 10, 15, 20 minute or 1 hour video. Then you have to put what you know into use. Because, see, you could know all the things about driving, but if you don't implement what you learned, then it doesn't mean a thing. You're driving in vain. You're learning in vain too. It's procrastination. Vain and procrastination goes hand in hand. Actually, praying is a pre-ancestor, or the predecessor to vain. Procrastination is the predecessor to being vain. It's a preview of being vain. Procrastination is pre-vain. You understand? In other words, you have to start all over again about what you know about driving, not just with driving, but any skill that you learn pertaining to life. You understand? So once again, if you could do an hour, talk about an hour about what you know about driving, you might as well put what you know to good use. You understand? Stop wasting all that um, information or knowledge, being very knowledgeable about driving, and letting other people, permit drivers, outdrive you where they're driving by themselves. If they can do it, so can you, and all of you. This is serious. This is crucial to your development. Another thing I would like to say about driving too is if you could put up the curtains, those blinds where people have a hard time putting the blinds up. That's a skill. A lot of people can't do that. Sometimes people put the blind down, but don't know how to put it up. And sometimes they put it up aggressively, and then it rolls all the way up fast. But if you could put the blinds up gently without it rolling up aggressively or violently, that's a skill. You can drive. You understand? That's a preview of driving because you are able to put the blind up while having self control of the blind, without the blind controlling you. When you put the blind up violently, it's as if the blind is controlling you. When you put the blind up gently and smoothly, you are controlling the blind. It's similar to when if you could put the car to a complete stop, even when you force the brakes, when you're going too fast, the car is controlling you. But when you control the brakes smoothly and easily, effortlessly, you are controlling the car. You're controlling the brake. You're controlling the gas. You're controlling the steering wheel. So you bring the blind smoothly. It's a preview of you controlling the car instead of the car controlling you. And you can even say, if I could control the blind, I could control the car. Once again, if I could speak about driving, I could go on a 1 hour driving trip. If I could speak about driving for an hour, I could go on a 1 hour driving trip. This is a preview. And if you want to pertain it to driving too, you could put pre-driving on the blind as well. Or you could say, if I could control the blind, I could drive. You could write it on the beige blind or the white blind. Just a sneak peek of what you could do, what is to come, what is expected of you. Remember, you could do the 3-7-10 technique. As I always tell you, you could do the 3-7-10 technique with the blind. Practice it at least 3 times, at least 7 times, at least 10 times. So then that could transpire to the other driving skills. Practice the 3-7-10 technique with the steering wheel, coming to a complete stop with the brake, knowing how to let the car go coast. I said coast 3, 7, 10 times with driving. You could do the 3, 7, 10 technique for anything and everything pertaining to driving and life itself. But that blind, that's gonna be your steering wheel. That's gonna be your gas pedal. That's gonna be your brake pedal. And remember what I told you too about driving too, about that question about the driver's child and right, the driver's child being the dependent, but not the brother or the sister. Remember, if you're confused about that scenario, that question, that the examiner, the teacher, or maybe, God forbid, a police officer might ask you when you get your provisional license, what does that, who does that apply to? It applies to the parent and to the son or the daughter. And if you're still confused, you could put yourself in that scenario by saying the driver's child, my parent, and me. You understand? Because if you understand that scenario, you can read the signs, you can do paperwork, you could do your taxes, you could do sign agent work where you could make a revenue of up to $1 or $2 million a year. If you understand that simple scenario, God, I'm telling you about the driver's child. Who's the driver's child? Once again, it could be your mother, your father, then you. You got it? Or vice versa. In other words, you can drive, the parent will be the dependent, or the parent could drive and you'll be the dependent as long as one of you are 21 years or older. That's what the question or the scenario pertains to. The reason I'm making a big deal about that question because if you don't really understand that question, you could drive but may not read the signs or read where you're going or read the exit signs correctly. It's similar to you being a signing agent, but you don't understand the paperwork. But you are a certified licensed uh, signing agent, but you don't know the 5 different types of loan signers. It's similar to you being a permit driver or licensed driver, but you can't read the signs. Got it? Another thing I want to say as well is, thank you God for memory, is you can know all this driving knowledge, all this driving wisdom, all this driving genius, but if you don't apply it, it is useless. It's similar to you having a car that hasn't been driven, and you don't drive the car, then nobody's gonna want to sell it. But then when you drive the car, then people's gonna want to pay $1,000 for the car. But if you don't drive the car, then that's where people will say, "I'm not paying $1,000 for the car because it's not drivable." See, so you gotta drive the car to make it drivable, to make it not only drivable, but to make it to that is proof that the car is not only drivable but functionable. Not just for you, but for the person who's buying the car from you. If you just leave the car in the yard and just want the people to pay $9 or $1,000, then they're not gonna do it. They're gonna give you their price instead of giving you your price. When you drive the car, then they give you your price. When you don't drive the car, then they give you their price. You understand? So when you drive the car, it's proof that a car is working, is functionable. But when you don't drive the car, you proving that it's not functionable, and you want people to give you your price. It's kind of backwards. It's similar to you putting a car on the shelf. You got to take the car out the shelf. It's similar to taking Jesus out the box. Uh, right. The God, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit out the box. But you make Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit, you put them at the service. If you keep them in the box, keep them out the box so they could rule and abide in you and let your blessings overflow you. It's the same thing. Take the car out the box. Take the car off the shelf. Make it uh, drivable. Don't be similar to those stubborn salespersons or store owners that want to give you their price, but they show you that the the object is not working. You understand? So be a fair salesperson. So if you want to sell the car, you gotta give people proof that it still works by putting it on the road. You got to take on a road trip. If it still needs work, you can take it around the block. In other words, if, before the people even buy the car too, they might want to go on a test drive. They might want you to take the car for a test drive, or they might want to take the car out for the spin themselves. So that's why you gotta be prepared and do your diligence. So once again, this knowledge applies to you. You're the car, but it hasn't been driven in months or even years. You think people's gonna want to do business with you or want to make a sale with you? Probably not. So if you want people to make a profit, or you want to make a profit, you gotta stretch your car's legs, so to speak. So you're that car that has so much potential. You're that car in the yard that has so much potential, but you're not putting the potential to use, and that's where the potential turns to vain when you procrastinate. So don't be like that car in the yard that is letting the grass grow under the foot. And that could be you. Please don't let the don't let the grass grow underneath your foot. When you let the grass, oh no, when you don't let the grass grow underneath your foot, that means you're living your life to your fullest. You live your life as it's golden. Shout out to Jill Scott. Living my life as it's golden. I know I keep on saying the same thing, but I want to bring the 3 points home. So the first point is to not waste your driving potential, not waste your driving talent. Because when you waste your talent, that means that everything that you know doesn't mean anything. You putting it to vain. So don't waste your driving talent. Don't waste your talent in life for that matter. The second point I want to tell you too is you could use the blind as practice by saying I'm driving the blind. I'm driving the blind up. I'm driving the blind down. If you could drive the blind up and down, you could drive the car up and down in your driveway. Then last point that I want to say in this video is if you can talk an hour about driving, you could might as well go on an hour road trip on the highway or a city drive. It's the same thing. So you got to put order together. Talk about driving for an hour. You could drive. You could go on a driving road trip for an hour. If you could control the blinds, you can control the car. If and don't be similar to a car that's just sitting there letting the grass grow underneath the wheels. It's similar to you letting the grass grow underneath your foot. It's when you let the car just sit there idle for all that time, the car gets rusty, and then your driving skills get rusty. Your driving knowledge get rusty. So you are the car. Driving's what you make it. The car's what you make it. The more you use it, the more you become true to it. The more you use it, the more you will have fun and get more out of it. But if you just leave the car there, then you are avoiding driving, and that's what be more difficult, maybe more unpleasant, maybe a chore where it seems as if people have to force you to drive. Only person who's supposed to push you to drive is yourself. Not the teacher, not the examiner, not your friends or family member, but you. So that car being in the grass, that represents yourself. That car being in the yard represents yourself. What are you gonna do? You gonna let it stay there forever, where people where you just let your life pass by? So get the car out the yard, and the only way you get the car out the yard is by driving it. Don't be scared. Don't care what people think. Don't be concerned about making a mistake. If you make a mistake, life goes on. But that car in the yard is you. That's your potential. That's your future. That's your destiny. You understand? So get the car out the yard. That means you get out the yard, get out the house, do new things, do something, try something new. You understand? Don't be afraid to leave the nest. So this is a metaphor. This represents you, and you. Even though that car might need a lot of work, but it has the potential to still drive with the other cars on the road, on the highway. similar to how your driving skills might need work, but you have the potential to be just as good as the other drivers, if not better. You'll be just as good as the drivers and the licensed driver and the permit drivers put together. You understand? Or another way, this is bonus to help you with your driving too, is dancing. If your friends or family members say, go dance, do random dances, dance a cappella, or dance, do freestyle dance. And don't care if they say, oh, you dance like a nerd, you dance similar to Steve Urkel, you dance with 2 foot. As long as you dance, you could dance for a minute. Because if you could dance randomly or spontaneously, this will help you to dance in the club with the ladies. So I recommend that you push yourself to dance 3 times. If you could dance randomly 3 times, you could dance with the ladies 3 times. Remember, dance randomly either 3 times, 7 times, or 10 times. And then this will help you to dance with the ladies 3 times, 7 times, or 10 times. And how this applies to driving, even when you take that car out the yard 3 times, 7 times, or 10 times. And then you could drive 3 times, 7 times, or 10 times. So it's off topic, but then it's on topic at the same time. But the reason I say that dance uh, to any music, and don't let people just say, go dance. It's the same thing as people say, go drive. If you could dance by yourself 3 times, 7 times, or 10 times, then you could drive by yourself 3 times, 7 times, and 10 times. So dancing and driving goes hand in hand. And don't think that, oh, my moves doesn't go with my thoughts with dancing, or my moves doesn't go with my thoughts with driving. Do it anyway, even if you think something, but then your movement is another way. Say, I'm full of surprises, just a little surprise. I shock myself. I surprise myself. Because if you say my moves doesn't go with what I'm thinking when I'm dancing and driving, then that's you being hard on yourself. That's you discouraging yourself. That's you upsetting yourself. That's you annoying yourself. That's you frustrating yourself. You make it more difficult than it already has to be. You understand? And you don't have to be the best dancer in the world. You could dance 50%, 60%, or 70%. Similar to you don't have to be the best driver in the world. You could drive 50%, 60%, or 70%. Or you could drive 30%, 70%, or 100%. The 3-7-10 rule. But once again, I recommend that you force yourself to dance because it's going to make it easier for you when you start dancing by yourself, getting used to dancing by yourself, then you'll be used to dance with the ladies. So when you dance by yourself without people telling you, then it's gonna help you to drive by yourself, then drive with the teacher, then drive with the examiner. Then this will help you to be a successful driver. It starts with dancing on your own, dancing on your own accord, taking initiative, being a leader, and dancing to anything. Don't just dance to your favorite song, but songs that you find corny, dance to them anyway, and do the 10 or 12 different moves. You could start with the 2-step, then you could start with the bounce, you could start with the Harlem Shake, you could start with the Crip Walk, then you could start with the spin, then you could start with the Superman, Social Boy Superman, then you could start out with the Young Jock Bike movement. It's You can start out with the dirt off the shoulders. You can start out with the book back dance. You can start out with the dab. You can start out with the whoop, the nay nay. You can start with the juju on the beat. So if you could do all of those dance on your own without people telling you what to do, then this will help you to apply more moves when it's time for you to drive on your own accord. So dancing on your own accord is the same thing as driving on your own accord. You don't care what people think when you dance on your own accord. And you start having fun, you start being natural or fluent with it. And it will link up with you drive on your own accord where you drive more naturally, more fluently, and won't be forced. And even if the teacher examiner yells at you, you won't care because you're on cloud nine. You focus on your eye on the prize. They can yell at you 100 times. You are focusing on being an independent driver. It won't matter. The yelling, the discipline, it won't matter because you have God, the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit with you. In other words, the teacher is driving, can yell at me all they want. I'm still going to drive. I'm still going to be the best driver or if your foot is on a brake, then you could dance after you drive. You could put it together. And one more thing I would like to say, thank you God for memory, is about the picture comprehension and direction comprehension, because that's very crucial to driving too. If you have good picture comprehension, if you have good direction comprehension, that help you with driving. You'll be ahead of the game. If it takes you one or two tries to understand the picture comprehension and driver comprehension, you're ahead of the game in driving. Where, for example, the picture comprehension is the teacher or examiner say, you see that car down the road, I need you to park by that car. You see that stop sign by down the street, I need you to stop by that stop sign. You see that tall building at the end of the block, I need you to stop. I need you to stop or park by that building. That's why it's important to look the 12 to 15 seconds down the road, down the street, because that help you to be prepared for anything. And this will help you to broaden your global vision. And another thing I would like to say is with the direction comprehension, when people say, you know that post office across from the fast food joint, or you know that church across the street from the park, or you know that health store across the street from the laundromat, if you automatically grasp it, then you are almost ready to drive. Because when you're driving, people's going to give you picture comprehension, they're going to give you direction comprehension. You got to kind of pick it up like that. But if you don't understand it right away, that's okay too. It's not the end of the world, because that's what confusion is there for. And if people get upset and frustrated by say, "Oh, you didn't understand it," you're supposed to know this. You say that's the purpose of confusion. That's what confusion is there for. If I don't understand something, I could ask all the questions I need to get better, to get smarter, to fix my mistakes, to learn from my mistakes. That's the purpose of confusion. I would use confusion to my advantage. I want to use confusion to the best of my ability. So don't be afraid of being confused. It's not you're not being Cupid with an S. You are being brave. You're being courageous, and admitting that you need help, admitting that you don't know it all. Look at confusion as self growth. Look at confusion as practice makes purpose. Look at confusion as going on a soul searching journey. Soul man. You understand? That's why, once again, to be a good driver, you gotta have good picture comprehension and good uh, direction comprehension, because this is gonna help you to be your own GPS. If you don't have a GPS, you can use your picture comprehension skills as GPS. You can use your direction comprehension as a GPS. So if people just playing charades with you, if they give you one, two, or three examples or landmarks, you pick it just like that. The quicker you pick up those picture comprehensions and those direction comprehensions, you'll be on top of the world. It's something that nobody can take away from you. You will be uh, a better driver leaps and bounds. You understand? Nobody could tell you nothing. So while you have all this time before you drive, work on your picture comprehension, work on your uh, direction of a place comprehension before driving. And this will help you with your confidence. This will help you to this will even help you with your reading comprehension too. If you're good with your picture comprehension, if you're good with your direction comprehension, if you're good with your instruction comprehension. I said, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. If you're good with your memory comprehension, this will help you with your reading comprehension. Comprehension is comprehension. They're all the same, even though they come in different shapes and sizes. And take your time too. Don't pretend that you understand what a person's saying when you don't. Then they test you. Then they say, I thought you understand. Why didn't you say you understood when you didn't understand? So don't be afraid to say, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Maybe you could give me another example. Maybe you could give me another landmark so I can understand what you're saying better. See how intelligent that sounds? They'll say, I understand. I think I understand. So you just got to put it together. If you can master the picture understanding and direction understanding. That's a preview. If you put it all together, this is pre-driving. This is preview driving. When you could ace the picture comprehension and the direction comprehension and the instruction comprehension and the landmark comprehension and the building comprehension and the place comprehension. If you can get 100 of all those, you could get 100 again behind that wheel. You understand? But even if it takes you 2 or 3 tries, you can still get an A plus in place comprehension or in the direction comprehension or in the instruction comprehension or the landmark comprehension. You understand? In other words, if you could do the picture comprehension and the direction comprehension and place comprehension, this will help you with your sense of direction. You can say, I have a better sense of direction since I am improving on my picture comprehension. I'm fluid and seasoned with my instruction comprehension, my direction comprehension. My sense of direction hasn't been this good in a long time. It's better than ever. And if you want to, before you start driving, you can give yourself a picture comprehension test by saying, test me, quiz me of a place you think I might not know about. And I'll tell you, I will ace it, or I will conquer it, or I will handle it to the best of my abilities. Give me 5 scenarios of places you think I don't know that might be far away or close by to me. Go ahead, ask me away. Or you could give yourself the picture comprehension test, or you could give yourself the place comprehension test. You don't have to just let people test you. You could do so on your own. You could give yourself 5, 10, 20, or 100 questions. So you could be prepared for anything that people might throw at you. It could be even a cop or a state trooper, wherever the case may be. You'll be ahead of the game. You'll be 10 steps ahead of everybody else if you give yourself this picture comprehension quiz, or this direction comprehension quiz, or this place comprehension quiz. Then remember, if you're confused, you can give yourself hints to make it easy. And this what this video is made to do. It's designed for you to make it easier for yourself. If you have a hard time getting behind the wheel, to make it easier, find some tips and tricks and methods to make it more straightforward for you. Give yourself some clues, not just with the picture comprehension, not with direction comprehension, but with driving in life itself. Remember I told you with that question about the driver's child, not a brother or sister. Give yourself hints and tricks, clues to make it easier for you. How to use the blind. Give yourself hints and clues of how to make it easy for you. How to make a driving video before you start driving. Give yourself hints and tips and clues of how to make it easier for you. How not to let the car just sit there and you be with the car where you're both sitting at the yard, where you're both going to start driving on the road and the highway. How you could give yourself clues, hints on how to make it easier. How to parallel park. Give yourself hints and clues on how to make it easier. How to angle park. Clues to make it easier. How to three-point turn. Clues to make it easier. How to pay car insurance. Give yourself clues to make it easier. How to city drive. Give yourself clues to make it easier. How to drive in the park. Give yourself clues to make it easier. How to drive forward and backwards. Give yourself clues to make it easier. See, you're your own clues. You're your own hints. You're your own tips. You don't know it. You're walking clues. Your blues clues, or black clues, or white clues, or Hispanic clues, or Asian clues. But seriously though, the clues is what you make it. The hints is what you make it. The tips is what you make it. The tricks is what you make it. Pertaining to driving, pertaining to life itself. You know, I'm a poet, and I know it. I can't help but show it. I think I said everything I need to say for 30 minutes. Thanks for listening. Please have a blessed day. See you later. Stay blessed. God bless. Drive safely now. Don't be scared. God have you. You're a driving king. You're a driving queen. And don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. You hear me? If they do, you send them to need me and more me. But seriously though, thanks for listening. Please have a blessed day. I will talk to you later. God bless.